If you don't reflect, you repeat. Ever feel like you're living the same day over and over, making the same mistakes, stuck in the same frustrating patterns? It's not just you. This is what it feels like to live on autopilot. But there's a way to take back the controls, and it's called self-reflect. Now, I know what you might be thinking, isn't that just overthinking? Not at all. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to share a simple, practical system that will teach you how to reflect productively without getting lost in your own head. This is the skill that allows you to stop repeating the past and start consciously designing your future. First, let's get one crucial thing straight. Reflection is not the same as rumination. Rumination is its unproductive, evil twin. It's when you get stuck in a mental hamster wheel, replaying a problem, a mistake, or a hurtful comment over and over again. You obsess over what happened, what you should have said, or what could have been. You feel stuck, anxious, and powerless because you're just circling the drain, not looking for a way out. It's like spinning your wheels in the mud, lots of noise and effort, but you're not going anywhere. Reflection, on the other hand, is constructive. It's an active process of inquiry. It doesn't just replay the past. It analyzes it to generate insight and create a path forward. While rumination keeps you trapped in the problem, reflection builds a bridge to the solution. It's the difference between staring at a locked door and actually looking for the key. So how do we start building this skill? It begins with a simple daily practice that takes less than 5 minutes. This is the 3-question method for daily reflection. It's simple, direct, and incredibly effective. At the end of your day, or after a specific event, ask yourself these 3 questions. Question 1. What happened? Describe the event as objectively as possible, like a journalist reporting the facts. No judgment, no story, just the bare-bones sequence of events. For example, I got an email from my boss with critical feedback. I didn't reply to it. I watched TV for 3 hours instead. That's it, just the facts. Question 2. What did I feel? This is where you bring in the emotional and physical data. Your mind often explains, but your body reveals the truth. Name the specific emotion. Was it anxiety? Shame? Anger? Frustration? Then notice where you felt it in your body. Did your chest tighten? Did your stomach clench? Did your shoulders tense up? For instance, when I read the email, I felt a knot of anxiety in my stomach and my shoulders went up to my ears. I felt a wave of shame. This step connects your mental state to your physical experience, giving you a richer, more complete picture of your reaction. Question 3. What does this reveal? This is the most important step. Here, you're a detective looking for clues. What underlying pattern, belief, or unmet need does this event point to? It's not about blaming yourself. It's about collecting data for future use. Continuing the example, you might realize this reveals that I have a pattern of avoiding conflict when I fear I am not good enough. The feeling of shame triggers my procrastination. You've just turned a moment of avoidance into a powerful insight about how you operate. These strongest reactions are your most valuable data points. They're like bright, flashing signs pointing directly to what you need to understand about yourself. These strong emotional reactions are almost always signposts for an unmet need. We all have fundamental human needs. The need for safety, for respect, for connection, for autonomy, for competence. When an event triggers a powerful emotional response in us, it's usually because one of these core needs has been threatened or left unfulfilled. This brings us to a powerful tool, the Trigger to Need Map. It's a simple mental exercise. You identify the trigger, the specific event or commenton, connected directly to the unmet need it activated. For example, let's say your trigger was a friend canceling plans at the last minute. The feeling was disappointment and a bit of anger. Mapping this to a need, you might realize it wasn't just about the canceled plan. It tapped into an unmet need for connection and a feeling of not being prioritized. Or perhaps your boss takes credit for your idea in a meeting. The trigger is your boss's action. The feeling is rage. What's the unmet need? The need for respect, recognition, and fairness. Once you've mapped the trigger to the need, you create a crucial moment of choice. That space between stimulus and response is where your power lies. Instead of reacting blindly with anger or withdrawal, you can pause and ask yourself a new, more effective question. What is the healthiest way to meet this need right now? In the case of the canceled plans, instead of sending a passive-aggressive text, you might decide to call another friend or spend some quality time on a hobby you love, directly addressing your need for connection. Or for the work situation, you might decide to schedule a calm, private conversation with your boss later, advocating for your need for recognition in a strategic way. This map turns you from a reactor into a strategist in your own life. Another area where a reflection is a game changer is in aligning your daily actions with your core values. So many of us are caught in the trap of people-pleasing. We say yes when we mean no. We pursue goals that look good to others, but leave us feeling empty. We're so busy trying to meet external expectations that we lose touch with our own internal compass. Reflection helps us find that compass again. Here's a powerful question to ask yourself when you feel torn or uncertain. A simple values check. What would I do if I was trying to impress anyone? Let that sink in. What would you do if you didn't care about being seen as nice, or successful, or agreeable? This question cuts through the noise of social pressure and external validation. It helps you distinguish what you truly want from what you think you should want. Answering this honestly can be liberating. It might lead you to set a boundary you've been avoiding. Say no to a commitment that drains you, or start a project that you're passionate about, even if no one else gets it. It's how you start making choices that are authentically right for you, leading to a life that feels less like a performance and more like an expression of who you truly are. Now, to make all of this stick, you need a system, a habit. This isn't a one-and-done exercise, it's a practice. I recommend a simple 10-minute weekly review protocol. Set aside 10 minutes every Sunday, or whatever day works for you. During this time, you'll answer 5 simple prompts. First, what are 3 wins from this week? No matter how small. I drank enough water. I finished a chapter of a book. I didn't lose my temper. Celebrate your progress. Second, what was one mistake or failure? Own it without judgment. I procrastinated on that important report. Third, what is one pattern I noticed? This connects the dots from your daily reflections. I noticed I get irritable every time I skip lunch. Fourth, what is one boundary I held or wish I had held? This focuses on your relationship with others and yourself. I successfully said no to a last-minute request, or I wish I had spoken up when my colleague interrupted me. And finally, number 5. What is one small experiment I want to try next week? This is crucial. It turns your insights into action. The goal of reflection isn't just to understand yourself better. It's to inspire a change in your behavior, no matter how small. This weekly review turns reflection from a vague idea into a structured, forward-looking practice that creates real momentum. Let's talk more about that last step. The experiment. This is where the rubber meets the road. All the insight in the world is useless if it doesn't lead to a change in behavior. But change can feel like a big, scary word. That's why we frame it as a small experiment. The goal is not to perfectly fix the problem overnight. The goal is just to try something different. Pick one tiny, micro change based on your reflections and test it like a scientist. If you noticed a pattern of mindlessly scrolling on your phone when you feel lonely, your experiment might be, next time I feel lonely, I will text one friend before I open social media. If you identified that you procrastinate on big projects because you feel overwhelmed, your experiment could be, I will work on the project for just 15 minutes, a single Pomodoro session before I allow myself to take a break. The outcome of the experiment is less important than the act of trying. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Either way, you get more data. If it fails, you haven't failed. Your experiment simply yielded a result. You can then tweak it for next week. This approach removes the pressure of perfection and reframes change as a playful process of discovery. Ultimately, self-reflection is about creating a feedback loop for your own life. It's not a tool for self-criticism or judgment. It's the skill of learning from your own experience, your successes, your failures, your failings, your patterns. It's what separates a life lived on repeat from a life lived with intention. You are your own greatest teacher, and your life is your textbook. By learning to read it, you gain the power to write the next chapter yourself. You stop being a passive passenger and become the architect of your future, one small, powerful insight at a time. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into self-reflection. If this resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe and join our community. Drop a comment below with one small experiment you're willing to try this week. Let's learn and grow together.